Well folks, welcome to the latest video where we're going to look at a very common anti-reverse problem with spinning reels particularly, and other sort of fixed spool reels. Essentially what happens is you got a reel which normally can spin in both directions, and then you have a switch here which is down by my thumb, and you can push it. And if you look inside the reel when I do that, you can actually see the switch working. You can see the internal mechanisms of the switch working. And so you can too when I take the top off. And so we have to conclude that that's probably not the problem. Which is why I've got the covers off, by the way. So you know this is going backwards and forwards. Now, if I switch the switch forwards, so there's a small amount of drag, very, very light. But it is going backwards and forwards still. And so essentially this drum is not bolted down, so if I just lift the drum off, assuming that I can of course. Okay, so what we see underneath is this device here, which is a cassette. It's the anti-reverse clutch cassette. Okay, and you can see just there, where my finger's pointing, that is where the switch engages. Now you can see it disengaging there, and again you can see it engaging there. When I spin this little bit, it clicks into one of these serrations here, and that stops the clutch from spinning round. Now, in theory, what should happen when the clutch is spinning round, the clutch has the property of allowing you to rotate forwards, but in theory, not backwards. But the problem is that you can turn it backwards. Okay, so if I pull off the cassette, there's you can see there on the end there's a flatted shaft on the brass there, and there's nothing wrong with this part of the reel. This is what the cassette looks like, and you can see in the center there's a flatted shaft tube, which is the locking feature which acts upon the shaft that I just pointed to on the end of the reel a few seconds ago. Okay, now that tube should be smooth on the outside, and it should just come out pretty easily. Like so. Now inside you can see there's a set of roller bearings. And well, they're not actually bearings, they're actuators for the clutch. And what essentially happens is, this is a form of centrifugal clutch. In fact, when you reverse it, it centrifugally clutches and stops the thing from spinning round and round. So it's always worth cleaning that and just checking that all of the little pins and springs inside are okay. But that's not the problem in this particular case. The common problem in this particular case is this. That's the problem. Because this outer casing, which engages with the switch, the end of the switch, and that casing which is housing the clutch assembly, are not supposed to be separated. And that's the problem. So if I just put this quickly back onto the reel itself, and you can see it rolls perfectly well, but when I try to go back it fixes. So if I were to jam the operation of this, so this can't move, and you can see that it moves forwards but it clutches backwards. So that means that the anti-reverse mechanism itself is actually working perfectly. And what's actually happening is this piece here, which is not supposed to come off. If I just jam the reel from moving there, this piece here is spinning round and round, and the centerpiece is not. And so the easy fix for this, of course, as you can see on one of the other YouTube videos if you look, is to stick some epoxy on it, and that's kind of what I'm going to do, and I'll show you that in a second. But that's basically the problem with these cassettes. They're made in Germany, they're badly made, and it is quite a common problem. So now then, one of the ways you could fix this, if this was a solid piece of brass, this clutch, which it isn't unfortunately, but if it was, then what you could do is you could drill between the clutch and the outer housing and just put a pin into it, and that would fix it forever. But unfortunately this mechanism is only got a very thin skin of metal on it, and that kind of means that you can't do that, otherwise you would muck it up. So probably epoxy is the only real solution. So in order to epoxy these parts, they are going to need to be degreased, like really thoroughly too, otherwise it won't stick properly. Okay, this is our item now, and we've degreased this and epoxied it. Well, here we are the following day, and we've got our newly epoxied item, and you can see that it spins great in that direction, but when you try and go the other way, it's jammed. So that clutch now appears to be working, so we'll now fit it to the fishing reel. So you can see here, you have to make sure that the flat pieces on the inside of the little sleeve fit over the flats on the shaft there. Yeah, you can just see there, look how it spins one way but then it grabs in the other direction. So it is now working, so I'll now put the reel back together. Okay, so this is our fixed abbey reel. Look at that, it's spinning beautifully. Lovely ball bearing reel, nice quality. Not as good quality as the older abbey reels, mind you, but there you go. If I switch the switch, so now it winds forwards, but it doesn't wind back. And again, we don't have any, you can't push it or anything like that. So there you go. That's your fix. Thanks very much for watching, folks. Bye.